Hello, it's Richard Bowser here from Property Investor News. I'm here at the Business Design Centre in Islington, where we are at the Future PropTech Show 2018. This is an annual event, and it's for the property industry in terms of the adoption of technology. And I'm here with Alex Harrington-Griffin of Trusted Land. So good afternoon, Alex.
Good afternoon, Richard.
Alex, we are here at what is a very vibrant, very busy show. We both have been this morning in some of the conference sessions, very well attended sessions. There's a residential hall and also a commercial property hall. Now, you have been at the conference this morning, and tell us a little bit about, first of all, what it is that you do, and then also what have you been experiencing this morning?
So we are an emerging PropTech solution, land trading platform. So for us to be here is trying to work out where potential partnerships lie, what other people are doing in the space. Everybody talks about data a lot of the time, so it's trying to work out where data can fit into our business as well as what other people are doing with it.
Yes.
And one of the polls they did earlier was, is 2018 the year for PropTech? So if that is the case, what are we seeing in 2018 that is so innovative and so forward-thinking that we haven't seen beforehand, and what can we expect next? And for us as a platform, we're trying to understand how do we not get ahead of ourselves by creating too much or offering too much, I suppose.
Clearly, technology, as we are all increasingly realising, is touching on all aspects of our life. Whether you are a landlord, a property investor, a property developer, or in the property trade, creating buildings, the technology is increasingly impacting on us. What, in terms of the sessions that you were in this morning, what were some of the standout points that you were absorbing? Anything specific that struck you?
I think the one thing that stood out was a lot of talk about what happens next and who's going to be. They mentioned the word dinosaurs and
yes.
Brontosaurus as well, and that's something that I've written about. A lot of people talk about. I'm sure you talked about it in your platform as well. It's who's going to move to be the chameleon, and what does being a chameleon look like? So
yes.
we talk about the modular constructions. A lot of people I know and you know as well
yes.
are both going into it.
Absolutely.
But what we're not seeing enough of is actually happening on the ground, and it's got to be that first movers. With
yes.
any kind of technology, there's always early adopters and first movers.
Yes.
And even the debates with people like Mount Anvil and the housing ministry today has been about what exists already, what's around the corner.
Yes.
But the gap is who's actually going to start using it.
Yeah,
people are throwing around a plastic brick. It's a great concept.
Yes.
But is anyone actually going to start using it? And is there a need for people to be using these kind of things?
Yes. And therefore, by applying it into a real world environment, then seeing the customer reaction, plus or minus, as to whether this is scalable. Whatever it might be, as you say, the plastic brick. I was watching something a few days ago on that. So, no, this is clearly a sector that is only going to grow and grow. And data, you've mentioned already. We've been doing interviews on build to rent and the rollout of build to rent, and just how some of these larger scale operators are using data to adapt their model and be very, very customer focused by responding based on the data trends that they're obviously collating and learning from. And at the same time, in the physical build construction area, robotics and automation is also being applied. But you mentioned modular. And of course, we've actually written a couple of articles in the last year or so on modular construction. We're doing some more in upcoming editions of the magazine. I mean, what's your take personally on modular in terms of its it being able to be applied realistically by maybe SME developers?
I don't want to get ahead of myself and say that I understand all the nuances of
sure.
it. It's something that, as an ex-developer, we have looked at. We spent a lot of time. I'm an ambassador of Land Aid, and we've
yes.
talked a lot about how modular construction can help provide emergency housing, affordable
yes.
housing to combat things like homelessness, and also just provide more homes that are affordable. The difficulty is, and what we keep seeing, is that people are talking about it, and we are sort of quite friendly with a couple of modular home providers,
yes.
People who operate factories.
Yes.
They're getting a lot of quotes. They're getting a lot of proposals out. What they're not yet seeing on an SME scale
Yeah.
is the actual orders.
Yes.
Unless a site seems to be absolutely perfect for it, and that's in terms of the location, the accessibility, the size of it, the product retail, the product price as well, and also who's funding that particular that particular job as well.
So why this resistance, in your view? Why is it that not enough people are seeing the application and the viability of using modular? Why do you think there is this current resistance on any sort of scale?
There's a lot of probably very valid technical reasons: insurance, warranties, mortgageability.
Yep.
I was having a discussion with someone earlier on a very practical level. If you think about maybe modular construction units being an option for a first-time buyer,
Yes.
obviously Help to Buy has done
Indeed.
fantastically for first-time buyers, but a lot of the time it comes with a deposit from the bank of mum and dad.
Yes.
Bank of mum and dad have never recognised modular construction in its current format, whether you call it precision manufacturing or whatever it is. So for them to consider, they want the best for their children, but they also want the best for their investment they're making. If it was my father,
sure.
and if I presented my father with a traditionally built bricks and mortar building or flat,
Yes.
versus a modular construction unit of the same size,
Sure.
if they were the same price, I know what he'd be saying. He'd be saying going for the traditional build room because he understands that.
Yes.
And in the same way that a lot of the lenders, the senior parties there, also understand that bricks and mortar.
Yes.
They understand there's innovation, they understand there's movement, but they still haven't been used to seeing those being lived in, being purchased on a mass scale, being, people having sort of 5-10 years of usability under their belt to make sure they actually do stand up and they are precision built.
Yeah.
That's the thing for me. It's not enough has gone through the system yet to make it sort of common ground and a commonality.
I mean, there's a very interesting comments in the context of, my generation, my parents' generation. They will remember the post-war construction, the free prefabs, I think they were called, little shoddily built boxes, which had to be built very quickly in many major UK cities, particularly in and around London, which is obviously bomb damage. But my colleague lives and works from Sweden. 80-90% of homes in Sweden are modular and created, and they can be put in on a bare piece of land, and literally, it's all just within 4 weeks you're dressing the interiors, and in 5 weeks people are living in those units. So what is it just really this cultural acceptance of modular versus traditional bricks and mortar?
As a proud half Swede and someone who went a year and a half ago to Sweden on a modular construction tour with people like Inspired Homes and Jake Nazar from JSM, we went to see what the sort of mass adoption of modular housing looked like.
Yes.
And as a sort of proud Swede who goes back to Sweden, it is the most common form of housing.
Yes.
And it's something people perfectly accept as, if I want to own my own home, or if I want to take a long lease on a property,
Yes.
I want something that is quick, that is efficient, that I know is going to be built well. Sweden is very cold in the summer, in the winter, and so you want something that is going to be airtight and insulated as well. Yeah. It's just the fact that it's on such a mass scale that almost people will go about, going traditional build and moving to buy a traditional home. But it's almost they kind of prefer it now because they know the benefits and the perks they get with it, and the fact that their friend and they know at least 5 or 6 people who also rent or buy one of those kind of properties. So it's the early adoption thing, it's
Indeed.
the hard part, and we're still in that phase in the UK, even though people like LNG are talking about their factory in Leeds, and the mortgage backers getting behind it.
Yes.
Until you actually get 5 or 6 friends and my parents see 5 or 6 of their friends also investing in those kind of properties.
Yes.
That's the crunch point. That's what we have to get to.
So it's not just the reservations of the developers. It's they knowing that the lenders and the actual customers that really represents business risk.
All of the developers we work with, nobody wants to be left with stock they can't sell.
Quite.
That's the biggest. That's the biggest issue. That's what ruins your profit margins. It's what ruins your reputation. It's what damages your momentum. If you can't sell your units and get your funds back and appease your lenders, it's difficult. And nobody wants to be left with. It's that risk element of creating something that looks beautiful, but fundamentally has a certain gimmick or a flaw that people go, it's a nice idea, but we're not quite ready yet. the buyers still want to feel, the bank and mum and dad still
Yep.
want to see that sort of more mass adoption, knowing they can easily sell that unit on in 5 years' time
Yes.
before they invest in that, before everyone starts sort of moving into that direction. That's my take on it as an
Yeah.
ex-developer, and
Well-
that's what I read a lot, and people I speak to, that's what they kind of feel.
Yeah, quite. No, you've made some very, very good points there, Alex. So there's absolutely so much we could talk about in terms of the adoption and the potentiality of the use of technology within the property industry. But thank you very much for your time and some really interesting points you've just made, particularly about modular. So it's Richard Bowser at Property Investor News here at PropTech, Future PropTech 2018 at the Business Design Centre in London.